I have a structured settlement and I need
points.
Now
Call JGP 877
Points.
now. I have an annuity, but I need
Points.
now. Call JGP
877 Points.
Pajot driving to the net, connects the pass, Pajot, he scores! J.G. Pajot has the first one today. Here's Lee, in front, save and they score! J.G. Pajot pops his second of the period.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 5-Hole Fantasy Hockey Podcast. We're your hosts today, TJ, Zac, and Rog.
Hey there.
Hey.
So it's your Week 25 preview. It is the fantasy finals for most of us, or the semis. Wherever you're at, man, we're here to shed some light on this crazy week. It's going to be a real heavy one on the heavy nights, light one on the light nights. But let's get into it, man. So we're 5-Hole Fantasy Hockey. You can find us on Twitter at FHF Hockey. You can join the Fantasy Hockey Discord to get in on this playoff pool. Raj, you set the whole thing up. Why don't you tell us a thing or two about it?
About as simple of a hockey pool as you could have. For the entire run of the playoffs, there's no moves, there's no draft, there's no nothing. Just pick basically your 20 players. That's your team for the playoffs and see what happens. So, like I said, no trades, no moves, nothing to watch. You can just pick your team and away you go. Free to join. And then we'll be doing some just updates, as the playoffs kind of progress. Letting people know who's winning, who's losing, talk a little smack to each other. Get at us either on Twitter or join the Discord. We got a channel set up for it there. We will be setting up a more traditional draft type of pool as well, but either way, hit us up.
Yeah, it's playoff pool season, and I think a lot of people they have an appetite for that right now. So if you guys need one or are looking for one, we got one. So hop on in.
If regular season fantasy hockey isn't frustrating enough, it's a blast, though. It's like Austin Matthews goes out in the first round. Now what?
Hey.
Scoring a goal a game at this point right now. He could single-handedly carry them.
He got 2 more tonight, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, 50 and 50.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's looking like that over is going to hit, isn't it?
I think it will, yeah.
He scored 4 or 5 goals since you asked that question.
Probably another one since we've been talking about him. The season's winding down for us here at 5-Hole. We're going to, finish out the regular season. And then, as we do every single year, we take a watch the playoffs, and we're not doing any podcasting. And then we come back strong right into our Dynasty series, where we're going to talk about Dynasty leagues, have a Dynasty focus there, talk the prospects of the 2022 draft, where, landing spots, this, that, and the other thing. We bring on some really smart people in the prospect community, get their reads on how some of these kids are going to translate to fantasy and who we should gun after. Because so last year, Owen Power goes number 1, but the guys you're looking at are like William Eklund and Mason McTavish, Kent Johnson. Those guys are the ones we're really looking at for fantasy. So let's get into storylines, news and notes, and injuries and all that stuff. All I got for storylines is Giroux got right wing. Now he's tri-eligible for anybody that was holding him. That's pretty rad. Outside that, I don't know if there's any, we already talked about Austin Matthews scoring a bunch of goals again. What else is going on? Is there anything big? It feels like nothing really happened since our last show as far as headlines.
Buffalo keeps on kicking ass and taking names.
Buffalo is kicking ass and taking names.
St. Louis, too. What did they say?
Jeff fucking Skinner.
Jeff Skinner.
Gotta. All right, so take it.
Jeff Skinner has 3 points since we talked about them the other day. Victor Olofsson has 2 goals in 2 more games since we talked about him the other day. Victor Olofsson's still looking good, man. Both those pickups would have been good, but fuck Jeff Skinner, man.
Take us to injuries.
Do you want a bad news sandwich? You want some good news, some bad news, then some more good news?
Whatever feels right for you.
Let's sandwich that bitch up. Carey Price come back at the very end of the year. The very end of the year, no strings attached kind of thing. They're not playing for anything. So really, this is just, him getting some warm up time. But that is good news. Not even really as far as fantasy goes, but that's good news that Carey Price is back.
And Jake Allen got hurt tonight.
Yeah, Jake Allen did get hurt tonight. He left the game and did not come back.
He might see some starts.
But no, hockey's just better having Carey Price in it. So good for you, man. Max Pacioretty also returning. I feel like this is probably the biggest return of all of them just because of, I don't know, I feel like they've been really kind of limping their way towards the end of the season, kind of much like the Carolina Hurricanes. The Golden Knights are just kind of, up and down, having a lot of scoring problems, and now they're getting a pure scorer back. They're going to get 6, 7, 8 shots on goal. Max Pacioretty coming in and throwing pucks on net. So that's good that he's coming back. I'm excited about that. We'll see how those lines really kind of shake up because I think that's going to be the most interesting part.
Yeah, he's on the third line with Stevenson and Janmark right now.
And that's the thing. Do you see that staying there? I don't know.
I don't know, man. He could always switch Dadonov to the other side, but I don't know. Maybe they're going depth at this point. They're trying. They have to.
Jack Eichel needs the left winger. The only thing is those are two people that are really trying to shoot the puck a lot.
Yeah, true.
So you don't know if they would work on a line.
Wait and see, man. We don't have that kind of time in fantasy.
No, and they've got a lot. I mean, Marchessault shoots a ton as well. They got a lot of guys who like to shoot the puck. So,
well, I mean, I want guys that like to shoot the puck.
Yeah, but only one person gets to take a shot, and if everybody's wanting to do that, it's just going to be a matter of, like you said, there's not a ton of time left for them or for fantasy for them to get things figured out here. And that's the one knock against Vegas is that they've done so much moving, plus their injuries moving everybody around. They're just like gelling is a problem. There's only 12 games left. So I'm a little hesitant towards Vegas.
It's a first round exit, man.
If they do stick with that as the actual third line, that being Pacioretty, Stevenson, and Janmark, that's 2/3 of what was earlier in the year, your top line.
True enough, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So that's 2/3 of your top line that's playing on the third line against other third liners, presumably. That could be a recipe for, a way to kind of get Patches, still give him a good amount of time, but, it's all about who they're playing against. That might really help. All right, moving on. Let's get this bad news out of the way. The rancid meat of the sandwich, which is Blake Wheeler. It's an undisclosed injury. He did not play yesterday. I didn't really see too much coming up, so we will have to keep an eye on him, considering they do have a damn good schedule for next week. You have Blake Wheeler, and, you might have even picked him up. You're going to want him out there. It looks like that is kind of up in the air right now. Joel Frisbee, he has the flu right now. They also have a pretty decent schedule in Philadelphia, so I like Joel Farabee. You guys already know that I like Joel Farabee a lot. But he has the flu right now. So that's, I hate to hear about players having the flu because you don't want to see it going to other players on the team. But at the same time, that it's not a long-term injury. That's one thing about, when they, usually if they're out with illness, they're going to be out a couple of days. They might miss a game or two, but you're going to have them back, fairly shortly. Jordan Carew was out with illness. He did not play yesterday, but TJ, luckily for you, he was back tonight. So that is some good news. And did he get any of those 6 points that they have? He get anything off of those 6 goals?
2 assists, 2 shots. Yeah, doing okay.
Not bad. Not bad, Jordan Carew. I like you. Finishing it up. Last one. Jeff Petry. He came back tonight and got an assist.
4 hits, 3 blocks, decent stat line.
Yeah, he had a stat line on him. He really did. Jeff Petry had a good game in coming back. What you got to wonder, though, because we kind of were talking about this before we even went on air, is how this whole power play unit is going to shake up. Is Jeff Petry going to, hop back on that power play? Because right now, guys, they're running with 5 forwards. And those 5 forwards, so they have Gallagher, Dvorak, Nick Suzuki, Caulfield, and Hoffman. Now, you have to think that Suzuki, Caulfield, and Hoffman are autos. They're autos up there. If you slot Jeff Petry back in, I would think that it would probably be Brendan Gallagher that gets moved down to the second power play unit, because I'm thinking Dvorak is going to be up there for the faceoffs mainly. Do you see them sticking with those 5 forwards, or do you see them bringing Petry?
Well, they had Chris Weidman in the lineup, so I don't know why they were doing a 5-forward power play here. It's usually Weidman's spot, but maybe it's not working. They wanted to shake things up.
It wasn't working, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. Even now, like, Weidman got moved down to the second unit, and Petry got nothing. I don't know.
Well, it's his first game back.
He played like 22
I'm
minutes.
Talking about, more moving forward.
Played good time.
I would guess that Petry is going to get a part of a power play. I'm thinking he gets it right back next year.
Hope so.
Hopefully, the Canadiens are a different team next year. All right, so that was the sandwich. We got to finish off with a good taste in our mouth, with some players coming back.
It's going to take us to the week breakdown. We talked about it being heavy on the heavies, light on the lights. There's only one game on Monday. It's Winnipeg and Montreal. Those two teams actually headline the streaming targets this week. Number one, they have that off night, and then they kind of follow suit the rest of the week. Tuesday's got 14, Wednesday's got 4, Thursday 12, Friday 2, Saturday 14, Sunday 6. So bringing us into the top tips of the week. These off nights, that's what you got to follow. Off nights are king this week, which leads me right into my second tip is just pitch your dead weight. Raj, Vancouver only plays twice this week, Tuesday and Thursday. If you've got your lineup set, and you can do it without those Vancouver guys, the lower level ones, like I'm thinking Pettersson stays, Miller stays. I'm kind of on the fence about Hughes at this point. Who are you keeping? And Demko. I would keep Demko for those 2 games. But if it's your finals, like just Thursday, pitch them to the wind. They got to go. You're not using them for the rest of the year, so go for it. If it's your semis, check it out. Probably need them for the week following. But what do you think? Are you dropping like your Bessers, your Horvats this week?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, face-off leagues, Horvat's worth keeping.
He what 17-0?
17-0 the other night. That was amazing. And 2 goals and an assist, too.
What a night.
He doesn't do that every night, but yeah, for me, those are crazy moves to even consider. But yeah, you got to cut anybody at this point. Like, you want to do a little bit of looking ahead to the following week, in which Vancouver doesn't have a great schedule the following week either. So other than their true superstars, I would be cutting everybody on Vancouver and anybody else in a similar situation. Like you said, there's a few teams who only play heavy nights, and man, this is a really, really heavy and light disparity this week. Like you said, the light nights are very light, the heavy nights are very heavy. So
14 games on Tuesday. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and if you lose this week, you don't get to play anymore until our playoff pool. So you got to do what you got to do, right? So
make those calls.
I do feel like you're holding on to Hughes though here. I mean, at least I think I'm going to, simply because of his position. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm trying to fill some forward spots. Like, I always have D spots open. For me, I'm still holding on to Hughes just because he's a defenseman.
I don't know. He's been cold.
He's limited in games, and he's limited in categories, right? Like, he lights up assists and power play points, like elite level, and then everything else is kind of blank. So
yeah,
but he ain't gonna get you hits.
No, not even a little bit. Yeah, I'm on the fence there, and there's 12 other teams that are playing only on these heavy nights too. That's Vegas, Pittsburgh, Ottawa, Edmonton, Dallas, Chicago, Calgary, Carolina, Boston, Arizona, Washington, Tampa. That's a lot of players to jam into these nights, trying to fit in. So, same as we tell you every week, set your lineup for the whole week, see who's on your bench, and pitch the dead weight. Yeah, and Pittsburgh, man, they got a cramped schedule this week, and even next week they've got 3 late week games, all on heavy nights. So anybody but the marquee players in Pittsburgh, I'm getting rid of. Your Jeff Carters, I'm keeping the top power play unit, and that's it.
TJ, anybody but the marquee players on any team, I'm willing to get rid of right now.
Oh yeah.
Because my motto this week and next week is get to the next week at all costs. Apart from dropping, incredibly high, your Austin Matthews and your keepers, I am willing to drop damn near anybody except for, your superstars on each team that you might have.
I'm looking, like they say, Buffalo, for example, this week. they have 4 games played this week, 1 off night. Don't let the 4 games played fool you, because
It's going to be tough.
3 of them are on heavy nights. Then next week they've got only 2 games. So really look into games played, but games that are actually going to be played and not spent on the bench. Because man, the more I look at this map of the next 2 weeks, it's pretty shitty.
This is not ideal. There's no such thing as a long-term hold right now. So drop everybody if you can afford to. Play your goalies early. That's my next tip here. If you have the luxury, don't question your goalie starts early. Stack up on volume. If your quality stats go down the drain, you got time to fix that later in the week, hopefully. I mean, the waiver wire isn't the best place to get quality stats, but you can at least try. And if not, just punt and go for quantity. Like if you're in a save percentage wins league, like that's volume. You can just stack saves and hope for wins and punt save percentage. So start your goalies early and drown them with volume. You guys got any tips for the week?
Piggybacking on that a little bit, take a look at your opponent. I mean, you don't need to make a good season-long team right now. Like if your opponent is heavy on goals or something like that, or a particular stat, it might be such that you want to punt a stat and just load up on others, right? Like in just as an example, you might be able to use a bunch of ads and just absolutely win blocks, win hits, and win your goalie stats and not even pay attention to goals. Just depending on what your opponent's got, look at what you've got and what's on the roster. But this is like even more than normal. Consider punting entire categories and maybe loading up on others in a categories league.
Looking at your own team and being honest with thyself.
Exactly.
It's a players meeting.
Quinn Hughes is not gonna hit, no matter how much I love him.
And again, if you're in a points league, I think goalies, all the more reason, unless your scoring is like really unforgiving to bad goalie starts. Like if you go -6 or something, I don't know your scoring, but if goalies are hard, maybe don't play them. But if you got a good goalie, like people last week were asking like, should I start Vasilevsky, against blah blah blah. We don't think that about any other first round pick. So I think that just the fact that question was asked, I'm not taking Vasilevsky in the first round ever again, because you should not have to think about like whether or not you start your first round pick. We don't think that about McDavid. Oh, am I going to play him? Yeah, it's a plug and play. You start your studs no matter what happens. Like you're, guys that have done nothing but right all year, play them. Even like, Demko's and Markstrom's and Saros, like these guys are good more often than not. So you got to start your studs.
Yeah, and that's my only knock on categories league save percentage. That's the only thing. Like I do like save percentage as a stat, but that's the only downside to it is it does invite just the strategy of not playing goalies if they have one good game. We've talked about this every season for the last decade of fantasy hockey. There's no real way to make it perfect, but that's the one downside to that for sure, is it kind of incentivizes not playing. Which
strategy, my man. All right, so teams to target, we had Montreal and Winnipeg at the top. Number 1, if Cole Caulfield's out there, that's the guy I'm going for. Points leagues, Cats league, don't give a shit. He's the guy. Who else you guys like?
Next up for me though, like I think for all of us, number 1 is going to be Cole Caulfield. And I get that. Your Nick Suzuki is too highly owned. I mean, he's available in like 23% of leagues or something like that. But Cole Caulfield is the guy. Other than him, I think you're looking at either Rem Pitlick or Josh Anderson. Yeah. I always kind of like Josh Anderson. He takes a ton of shots. He obviously gets a ton of hits, and he can get points.
Super available.
I'm pretty sure he has a point or two tonight. But like he is just even keel throughout the stat sheet. And that's what you're going to get from Josh Anderson. Rem Pitlick, I think, has a little more chance to get points just because he is on that line with Caulfield and Suzuki. But dude has gone fucking like 0-0 in shots in the last 2 games. So I'm still worried about that. But, he's still getting an assist or 2. I believe he had 1 assist in the last game. It wasn't on the power play, but it wasn't even strength. And I believe it was Caulfield's goal that he had the assist on.
Yeah, I like those two guys as well. Josh Anderson, he's either really, really hot or really, really cold, but he's never doing nothing. Like even tonight, no points. He still had 4 shots, 3 hits, 2 blocks. So he's getting you a little bit of something. So, if your points league counts that, fine. But if you're in a categories league, I think I like Josh Anderson a little more. Where do you rank Jeff Petry with these guys? Above those 2 forwards or below?
I'm confident in Petry. I'd kind of put him probably in between. I think Caulfield's number 1. I'd put Petry probably next.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like above Anderson and Pitlick. So for me, I might like Petry there too. He's back in action, and he was really hot before he was going out. The last 2 weeks he was hurt. So, I think maybe there's still a little something there. They gave him like 21 minutes tonight. I had Remla Pitlick here too. He's 1%, so he is available in your league. He's triple eligible. I got David Savard to close it out just for hits and blocks. Oh, and Brennan Gallagher. What do you guys think about him? Like if we had to rank him up against the rest of these Habs.
I like Anderson and Pitlick over Gallagher right now. I'm not in love with Gallagher.
I mean, I honestly forgot he was a hockey player, but he's got 5 points in the last 3 games since coming back. So he's got a couple hits a game.
And a couple of shots a game.
I feel like he's in there. I feel like he's useful, definitely. Schedule permitting, which they have, one of the few good schedules. I think he's worth it. He does bring you a little bit of everything. He doesn't seem to be like the crazy shooter that he used to be, but goals, assists, shots, hits so far since he's been back. So I did go for it.
Yeah, I think he's fine. I think he's an option. If you're going for a week-long hold, these are the guys you want to look at here. On the other side, Winnipeg, we talked about them in the weekend preview. Zach was astute enough to know that they were playing 5 or 6 off nights in a row.
Oh, yeah.
So this
5 off nights in a row.
This week finishes it out. I mean, Paul Stastny, Josh Morrissey were a couple of guys that we were talking about.
Still am.
I think they still hold true. Yeah. Stastny, line 1, power play 2. Josh Morrissey is hitting a bunch lately, shooting a bunch lately. He's QB1 on the power play. Any other options here? Like if Evgeny Svechnikov took over that void left by Wheeler, he's a top 6 option at this point. Does he tickle your fancy?
Not in a standard league. Not in a standard.
Yeah, for me, it's still those 2 guys. It's still obviously Josh Morrissey, horses out front, like way ahead. Just in his last game, 1 assist, 3 shots on goal, 3 hits, 2 blocks. You know what I mean? That's a stat line. He's throwing it around all over the place. He is doing a little bit of everything. So I'm really liking Josh Morrissey right now. And I suggested Paul Stastny, and in his last game, 2 assists in his last game, one of which was on the power play, which he is on that top power play right now. So you gotta like that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure what happened here, but Kyle Connor just kind of he's got 0 points. I know he was out for a couple of games, but he has 0 points in the last 3.
Drop him.
0 points in the last 3 games. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, you're not going to drop him. But
he's been hanging out with PLD too much. Shit.
No kidding. Ehlers, on the other hand, is back.
We totally overlooked Mike Hoffman. Was that on purpose in Montreal?
It was for me. He's too risky for a playoff week for me.
Yeah, and he's so... the thing about Mike Hoffman is you want to talk about boom or bust, like that is boom or bust. It is power play goal or fucking nothing.
Yeah, and the Montreal power play, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're going up against pretty tough teams. Like I like the Winnipeg side because they got Montreal, Seattle, Florida, then Tampa. So the front half is really nice. And then, on the other side, you got Montreal is up against Winnipeg, obviously. And then Columbus, the Islanders, and the Capitals. Islanders not having the best season, but their defense still holds true. And Washington, they can hold their own. But I don't know. I think I like the Winnipeg side a little bit more.
Yeah.
And Josh Morrissey's up there. I got guys like Adam Lowry, Logan Stanley, Brennan Dillon, all kind of just peripheral plugs if you're in a Cats league. Those are guys I'd go for there. All right, that's going to bring us to the tier 2 options. Florida, New York, Islanders, Columbus Blue Jackets, Philly. Philly's got 2 back-to-backs, so I threw Martin Jones in here. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I think Martin Jones is a play. Maybe not a good play, but he's a play this week for saves. Yeah, he's an option. We're not saying he's a good option.
I'll agree with that if you put it that way.
So, the first back-to-back is the Capitals and the New York Rangers. I'm steering clear of that one. But then you got a home and home against Buffalo to end the week.
Yeah, Buffalo's playing awesome right now.
I know.
Buffalo's going to score like 6 goals.
On Martin Jones. Oh, God. Yeah, that's not... I'd be pulling the rest of my hair out on Sunday for that one, man. Like, I don't know. That's tough. But I threw him out there because Philly does have these 2 back-to-backs. What are some other options here in Philly? I mean, let's assume that Joel Farabee is back. How much do you like him this week?
Joel Farabee would be my number 1. He always is for me. He's 18% owned. If he comes back from being sick, he's the pickup.
Yeah, offensively, I'd have to say so. I mean, Risto, 32% is available and as reliable of a peripheral guy as there is.
Will get periffs.
If you're in the market for that, especially 2 off nights. Yeah. So loading up on some extra peripherals on the off nights, that's not a bad idea. So I'd go with Risto as well.
How do you guys feel about Owen Tippett? I'm actually starting to come around on Owen Tippett. He does not look bad. Like, he really does. It's not that he looked bad before and I didn't like him before, but he is getting more prominent playing time. I mean, that's for sure. He's not going to be a bottom 6 forward like he was in Florida. So I am kind of in on Tippett in the orange and black. I mean, he's taking shots and he's looking good doing it.
Yeah, he's hitting too.
1% too, by the way.
1%. He's available. Right wing only. 1 day stream. I like that option. Like, I don't think Philly has any long term holds. Maybe Risto, like we were saying, if you just got to chug along on peripherals. But when I get to Florida, man, like there's guys that are doing periphery and
that's true.
Offense at the same time. So it's hard.
And by the way, Kevin Hayes is still going at it strong.
Oh yeah, he is. He's the best player on that team right now. Him and Farabee.
Yeah.
Really holding their own.
In the last 4 games, 17 shots on goal. 4-game point streak, too, by the way.
Have at it. Have yourself a season, man. So let's hop over to Florida at this point.
Have yourself a 13-game season, man.
I want to talk about Gustav Forsling because we brought him up like 6 episodes ago, and he has not been disappointing in the least bit at this point. So Gustav Forsling, still want to talk about him a little bit. He's got a lot of points lately. Another point tonight. I think he's got like 7 points in his last 9 or something. He's shooting a lot. Over the last 2 weeks, he's second on the team in shots. He's got as many shots as Sam Bennett. I like Gustav Forsling.
He's a fucking defenseman.
Yeah. Whenever he's playing on that top pairing with Weegs, he looks really good. So Forsling's somebody that at 28% rostered, some of the people are catching on. But man, if you need a D spot, if you're thinking like, hey, can I get rid of Quinn Hughes for his 2 games this week and sub out like a Gustav Forsling, I might do that.
Yep.
I might actually do that. 4 games, you're getting twice as many games from a Gustav Forsling as you are Quinn Hughes, and a little bit of periphery, not a ton, really not a ton.
Same.
He'll block a shot.
Probably more than you're going to get from Hughes.
And he's taken a Quinn Hughes amount of shots on goal.
He's getting more points.
Florida as a team, like, God damn it. Like, look at their past bunch of games.
Unreal.
4 goals, 7, 5, 7, 4, 7. Like, they are just scoring so many goals. You can look at their top probably 10 to 12 fantasy relevant players in Florida right now, not counting their goalies. Like, I mean, even Sherratt right now, he got 7 blocks tonight. Like, they have a crazy amount of players who hit a lot as well. Yeah,
Sherratt being one of them.
Yeah, you can get a lot out of Florida, and like you're saying there, like this is the time where season long I wouldn't be thinking about Forsling for Hughes, but right now that's a absolutely smart move to make.
And their top 6 is owned is the thing. Their top 6 is so owned. So if you're looking for offense, like getting it from a Gustav Forsling on defense where you're getting a ton of shots, you're not thinking that you're going to get house money, where you're not, automatically just banking on shots on goal and points from a defenseman, and you're getting it on top of some hits and blocks. That's where it comes from. really trying to find offense there is kind of hard outside that top six. I mean, hell, even Sam Reinhart is incredibly owned. You're more looking at it like an Anton Lundell, who's not playing poorly right now. He's shooting, kind of up and down, but also, very capable of getting points.
I think Just Go Check is worth it on Duclair and Verhaeghe. Duclair 64, Verhaeghe 55. Worth a look. Look at their schedule, though. I think this team is a play for the weekend. So we're going to talk about them a lot more come the weekend preview, because they only have one game in that first half of the week, and then they got the Friday, Sunday. Just can't help but be intrigued here. With how shitty Bobrovsky is playing, how many games out of these 3 do you think Spencer Knight gets? Spencer Knight's not playing that well either. His last 4 starts, he's got an 888. But when you put Sergei Bobrovsky's 861 up next to it in the last 2 weeks, it starts to look good.
Yeah, they're scoring their way out of a lot of issues in net right now, but I mean,
which is going to be a problem in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He got the 960 win, saved 24 out of 25 tonight against Nashville. He started 4 out of the last 5, so yeah, it seems like they're going with him.
I wonder if you can talk Edmonton into Bobrovsky. Okay, so Mason Marchment, does he, you say your league is getting deeper at this point? How much do you like Mason Marchment? 22% rostered.
I don't hate it. He just hasn't, he did definitely cool down when they started moving him back down the lineup. So, I mean, he doesn't have any points in his last couple of games. The shots kind of dried up, which kind of sucked because he was shooting a fuck ton. Now, the last 2 games, he has 0 shots on goal.
Yeah, he's got 1 shot in the last 3 games, it looks like. So I'm out on him.
That's including today, obviously.
Yeah. I'd rather have someone getting minutes on a shittier team, I think, at that point.
All right, let's go over to the New York Islanders. They got 4 games this week, 2 off nights in the later half of the week, 2 games against Pittsburgh. Those games are always a lot of fun. They get a little loose. Who are the best options here on the island?
I have my hand raised.
Mr. Vogel.
Who is JGP?
Yeah, that's the answer.
I know. It really is. He's on a fucking heater right now. He's a heater right now.
Yeah, he is. A JG Peter.
He is He has goals in 3 games straight. That before today so far. They're getting their asses kicked right now. So he doesn't have a goal in this game, but 3 games prior to this, he has a goal. And
a hat trick.
One of those games, he had a fucking hat trick.
Yeah, he did.
He has 5 goals and 1 assist in the past 3 games. That is downright fucking decent. And he's only 30% owned.
That is a very JGP thing to do.
Yeah. But that's when I want to pick you up, JGP, when you're just on a heater out of nowhere. Yes, that's when I want to pick you up.
3 out of his last 6 games, he's got 5 hits.
I was just going to say that too. And then he's got a couple of 4 hitters in there as well. So he's feeling it. He's feeling it. Go JGP.
And then, I'll also throw a Brock Nelson out there. Actually, more highly owned Brock Nelson at 46%. I'm not in love with him, but,
he's doing okay.
I would go out for, a couple of drinks with Brock Nelson, just see where things go,
What do you think about old Ryan Poops?
Poo blocker? Nah, I don't know.
Those peripherals are looking good.
Been blocking up a storm.
Yeah, and you figure he's going up against the Penguins twice and then Toronto. There's going to be blocks.
For a peripheral guy, for sure. I like Palmieri. He's actually been continuing to play pretty well.
So let's tie a bow on everything. We've talked about Josh Morrissey. We've talked about Jeff Petry. We've talked about Gustav Forsling, Ben Sherratt, and now Ryan Pulock. How do we rank these 5 defensemen?
I think it's a toss-up between Forsling and Morrissey. Probably I have Morrissey first, then I have Forsling. You have to stop pushing this agenda with Ryan Pulock. You gotta stop. You gotta stop.
So is he 5 out of 5 for you?
He might be the last one because honestly, I have Jeff Petry probably ahead of him because I'm just not in love with Pulock. And then who was our 4th? Or who was our 5th?
Ben Sherratt.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know if I have Ben Sherratt above him. I guess I have Ben Sherratt last.
I like Morrissey just because of the games.
Yeah, the off nights.
I like Petry because of the games as well. Morrissey's just been, I hate him, but he's been playing pretty well, pretty consistently. Both of those guys have the extra off nights, so I think you got to give it to them. And then I think then the Florida pair, if you need offense, Forsling's the guy, and if you need the peripherals, Sherratt's the guy. And I don't want an Islanders defenseman unless you're hurting for blocks.
Yeah, I mean,
All
I'll
right.
say that at least if you're picking up an Islanders defenseman, they play defense the entire game. So,
All right, over in Columbus, I got another defenseman to add to the mix, and it's Vladislav Gavrikov.
it's my guy. How are you going to steal my guy? That's my guy.
So he's got 5 points in his last 7 games. He's got 12 hits, 12 blocks each, 18 shots in there. Man, that is that just seems lucky. I don't know if I'm putting my championship week in the hands of Vladdy Gavi. But man, they have 2 off nights, only 3 games, so it's, I don't mind Oliver Bjorkstrand here, but I wanted to give Gavrikov his moment.
What about Jack Roslovic? Jack Roslovic has 2 goals so far tonight. I just don't trust the Jackets. I really don't want to pick up anybody from the Jackets, but we have them on our list, so I had to, find someone. I do like Gavrikov, though. That's my guy.
Yeah, they're so bad.
I think, for me, it's Bjorkstrand or bust. That's a daily stream for me is the Bjorkstrand thing. He's on line 3, which is weird. Shooting up a storm, only 1 goal in his last 7. Hopefully that starts the bounce right.
Jack Roslovic has a fucking hat trick. Oh, what about it?
All right, we've talked Columbus, New York Islanders. We talked Philly. Is there anybody else, like all of these teams that I'm about to bring up, these tier 3 options here, have 3 heavy nights, but then they play Sunday. So it seems like this is perfect suited for the weekend preview. But that's Buffalo, Detroit, Minnesota, Nashville, San Jose, St. Louis, and Toronto. From here, if you have forward room, on these heavy nights, I'm looking at Jeff Skinner, Ryan Johansson, Rob Thomas, Michael Bunting if he's out there, and Ryan Johansson. You know what I wanted to say just to piss some people off because I'm dickhead number 1 on Zach's new podcast. Mason Marchment, when I was looking at him, he's almost got the same amount of points as Michael Bunting this year. And he's got less games played in the NHL. Just wanted to throw that out there.
He went on that really, really good little stretch there. That's what happened. Then they moved him back down to the third line.
It's just a list of people who are going to lose to Mo Sider anyways.
I know. Yeah, we had a huge Calder conversation in the Discord, and I had my thoughts about Bunting. It's got to be Sider, but for me personally, I have Zegras and Raymond ahead. You put Zegras on the top line in fucking Toronto. How many points does Zegras have? More or less than Michael Bunting? Come on.
God, could you imagine Marner, Matthews, and Zegras?
I know. My balls are getting wet just thinking about it. It's crazy. Put Raymond up there, and then, conversely, put Bunting in Anaheim. See how he does. See how many fucking lacrosse goals. He's got 2 of the goal of the year candidates, and he's got the assist of the year candidate, Zegras. I don't know.
Not candidate. He has the assist of the year.
Hands down.
And
goal of the year,
if
probably.
anybody, if they don't, if that isn't the assist of the year, then I'm over it.
Fucking up. You're fucking up.
Yeah, that's goal of the decade, man.
Sider, Zegras, Raymond. That's my top 3 for Calder. But I'm not voting. Bunting being the top 5, don't get me wrong, but playing his 100th NHL game pretty soon. Do take that into account. He's drafted in 2014. Anyway, still talking about Jeff Skinner for a week-long hold if you got room on these heavy nights. Alex Tuck, Ryan Johansson, Rob Thomas, Michael Bunting, all these guys, if you have that room, I think are good plays for offense.
I'm into it.
And I'm sure we'll talk about them more. Yeah. Goalie streams. You guys got anything worth talking about outside of Martin Jones? I guess we'll talk early week. LA's got a back-to-back against Chicago and Colorado. I like that Chicago game. The New York Rangers, I'm never touching Georgiev ever. Seattle, no thanks. What about like Frank Hughes against
either LA or New Jersey? I mean, I would be fine with either one, obviously.
I would take that.
Both those teams can put up 6 goals though. I don't know. I don't mind LA versus Chicago. Like Peterson's getting more games lately, so I imagine they would put him up against Colorado. It'll probably be quick against Chicago on Tuesday. If you're looking for goalie streams, I think that's one way to stack up on saves. Probably get a win too.
Oh, Detroit's got a rough back-to-back at the end of the week.
Yeah, I'm not touching that. Those end of the week back-to-backs,
No, thank you.
we can touch those in the weekend preview for sure. That's it. Week 25 in the books. That's the week preview here from 5 Hole. You guys can find us on Twitter at FHF Hockey. You can hop in the Fantasy Hockey Discord if you want to talk more about it, or join the Fantasy Hockey playoff pool that Raj is running. It's going to be fun. Get in on it.
Oh, man, I'm just crossing my fingers, see if I make it to next week in all these leagues.
Yeah, man. Good luck. Thanks for listening. See you. Love you.
Love you.
Love yous.